Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to our walk through the Word. Today we are in Daniel 3. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was threescore cubits, and the breadth thereof was 6 cubits, and he set it up in the plain of Duran in the province of Babylon. And then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes and the governors and the captains and the judges and the treasurers and counselors and sheriffs and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And the princes and the governors and the captains and the judges and the treasurers and the counselors and the sheriffs and all the rulers of providence were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And then a herald cried aloud, To you this is commanded, O people, nations, and languages. At what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, and psaltery, and all kinds of music, and all the people and nations and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. And they spake, and they said unto King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall and worship the golden image. Whosoever fall not down and worshipeth that, he should be cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And there were certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. And then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that ye do not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, that ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast in this same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, let it be known that, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. And Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times hotter, more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that they were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. And these men were bound in their coats and their hosen and their hats and their other garments, and they were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace was exceeding hot, the flame of the fire that slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and he rose up in haste, and he spake, and he said unto his counselors, Did we not cast 3 men into the midst of the fire? And they said unto the king, True, O king. And he answered, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And in the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. And then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Ye servants of the Most High God, come forth, and come hither. And then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the kings and counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was the hair of their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. And the Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said, Blessed be the God of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any other God except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut into pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. And then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So Mr. Johnson sings a song, and it's called "Not Alone." I'll try to put it in the thing, but he's telling the story about the thing, and then the preacher says this. It's about compromise. Don't compromise. But the preacher says this. How did Nebuchadnezzar know? He was a pagan king. How did he know what the Son of God looked like when he looked into the fiery furnace? And he says, when you don't compromise, people who have never seen God will see God in you. I'm going to try to put that in there. It's Mr. Johnson called "Not Alone," and it's really cool. Anyways, have a blessed and glorious day.